Hey everybody, welcome back to Walking by Faith with Faith. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching this video and sharing the videos and subscribing to the channel. I appreciate it. I hope you guys are staying warm. We've definitely had some interesting weather and that you guys are safe. So today's testimony is actually from 2013 and this is a friend's testimony. So back in November of 2013, there was a big storm in Washington, Illinois, and it was on the news. And so one of my friend's friends was watching the news, and she's a believer, and she believed that God told her, go. And that was the only word that God gave her. So she calls my friend and says, hey, I think God just, said he wants us to go. And now her friend didn't know that she also saw the news, and she was asking God, God, what should I do? What supplies should I, bring? And the only word that came to her was water. So shortly after that, her friend calls her and says, hey, God said we need to go. She heard the word go, and my friend heard the word water. Well, then they were trying to figure out, because they had young kids at the time, how can we get the kids taken care of? And so these two ladies were friends with two other ladies, and one lady couldn't go, but she said, hey, I want to financially contribute. Here's some money. And so my friend said, okay, thank you. And then another woman that they know couldn't go on the trip, but she said, hey, I can watch your kids for you. And see, they were trying to figure out, when they should go and get the schedules, so that the kids were taken care of. So they got the money on Sunday night, okay? My friend got it. And then Monday morning, they see the news, okay? And then the lady calls my friend and says, hey, God said go. She said, I heard water. So they go to the store, they fill up on water, and, they make sure their kids are at the one woman's house that they know. And so all they did was they put Washington, Illinois in the GPS. That was it. So they drove the couple hours down there. They were coming from like the Chicagoland area at the time. And so they get to Washington, and, they weren't sure where they were supposed to go. And God hadn't said anything specific yet. So they were just, casually just driving around really slow and being like, okay, God, where are we supposed to go? So then all of a sudden they see this sign that said something like disaster relief supplies. And they had cases of water. So they knew, okay, we think this is where we're supposed to leave it. So they go inside this building, and there's this gentleman that said, hey, do you need help? Can I help you? And they said, no, we're actually here to be of help. And so they told him the story and everything about how they saw the news and what God said. So he said, well, we're okay here, but there's another location a little down the ways that, they could use your help. So they drove over there, and then they meet this pastor, and they tell him their story again. And he said, he said, if you drive a little bit further down, there's a center where they're setting up a bunch of stuff. You'll meet my wife and all that. And one of her friends is helping her, set up areas so that people can come and get supplies. So they get back in the car, and then they drive over to where these two women are at. They get out of the car, they introduce themselves, they, say the story again. And they said, we brought water. And immediately these two women just started crying because they had everything else that they needed to give out to people but water. Water was the one thing that they needed, and the car was filled with cases of water. And, when I heard that story again, and I asked, this person if I could share it, I kind of got teary-eyed because, when we obey God, it's not just about us. God tells us to do things because we're supposed to be a blessing to other people. And literally in the midst of this massive tornado that hit this town, God knew what they needed. And because these women obeyed, and not just the ones that, physically went down there to help, but, the one woman that said, hey, I'll watch your kids for you. Hey, I can't go, but I want to contribute financially to this missions trip. See, that's what it's all about. And also, these women, the women that went down there to help these people, you know, they all came from different backgrounds. You know, they were not all the same, they didn't have the same color earth suit. And see, God wants us to be united and to help each other. And so I hope this testimony encourages you guys that, you know, when you need help, God will send the people to bring the supplies that you need. Also remember though too, when God tells you to do something, there's a reason why he's telling you to do it, and to just simply obey, and how big of a blessing it's going to be to that person that needs it. Remember that God is the source, but he uses us sometimes as resources to help the people. So I hope this encourages you guys. Remember to engage and exercise your faith in God, and watch how he shows up and shows out in your life. God's not just in the big details of life, but he's also in the little ones. Remember that your life is a platform, and how you choose to live every day matters. And the song suggestion for today is called Fearless, and it's by Jasmine Murray, Murray, and she talks about how she wants to be fearless. And God, you know, you lead me and I'll go. And that's exactly what these women did. Also, the other important detail that I forgot to tell you is that they were trying to go on Monday, but it just wasn't working with their spouses' schedules. And so they ended up going Tuesday morning. So my friend got the money Sunday night. They saw it on the news Monday morning, and then they ended up leaving really, really early on Tuesday morning and stayed for a few hours and helped out, and then came back, you know, so that they could pick up their kids. Well, when they got back and they picked up their kids, you know, a lady was talking to them about their trip, and she said, oh yeah, you know, we want to go down there and help. So my friend had one of the ladies' cards that they met and said, oh, here, this is the person's contact information if you want to go down there and help. And guys, she called the woman the next day, and how about on Monday and Wednesday, the city was shut down. It was closed. So the one day that my friend and her friend went, the city was open and the people got what they needed, and then the next 24 hours it was closed. So even in that, God's timing is perfect, and just obey what he tells you. Have a great day.